practice of making information, activities, and or environment sensible, meaningful, and usable for as many people as possible. Today, we have the opportunity to speak with Travia Douglas on this topic. Travia is the Program Officer for Disability Services in the Ministry of Youth, Empowerment, Aging, and Disabilities, and she is here on Good Morning SKN to enlighten us on her experience being an active wheelchair user. Good morning, Travia, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Good morning.
Good morning, Travia. Happy you could join us this morning.
Indeed. Travia, we will begin touching a bit or speaking a bit about your role as Program Officer for the Disability Services. So tell us a bit about your position.
As my role as Program Officer is to ensure that persons with disability have access to relevant information, lobby and advocate for them on certain issues, and also to organize and facilitate programs and activities that are targeted for persons with disabilities.
Okay, so Travia, I have a follow-up question before we continue. Did this position choose you or did you choose it?
It chose me.
Okay. Nice. I'm happy it did.
So, Travia, could you tell us how long have you been using a wheelchair?
About 16 years now.
Wow,
time flies. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And what are some of your inspiration for working in the disability services?
What are some of my inspirations?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, my hope is to, as I said, lobby and advocate for persons with disabilities, some of our issues that we have concerning when it comes to accessibility,
Yes.
employment, job. We are hoping to tackle some of those issues.
You mentioned employment. I really don't understand, and it baffles me. Why should someone that has the brain but they don't have the abilities is denied the position with the way the world is technologically inclined these days?
But it's always about the perception that is already out there, that when you have a disability, that, persons don't study because they feel like that's the end of it, when rather that they can find reasonable accommodations to make for you.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And Travia, can you share with us your experience learning how to use a wheelchair?
It's a huge trend, knowing that you were mobile before and having to use a wheelchair, and it's just about practicing too. I'm not skilling it, but it gets me to.
You're making it work.
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
How was going out? We know prior to this you could have walked out, you could have gone out with your friends. How has socialization changed?
It can be a little intimidating because of how persons perceive disability and the way they stare at you. But if you don't let it get to you, at some point you just have to get out there and get back into the world. Don't isolate yourself.
Makes a lot of sense.
And could you share with us, how do you, on a day-to-day basis, how do you navigate using a wheelchair just to attack or just to accomplish your daily tasks? How do you navigate the day?
Well, in order to navigate your day, you have to first learn how to actually use the wheelchair, to get around. You don't always want persons to push on. You want some sort of independence, and that's the first thing that you have to learn to do in order to navigate into this world. Then, plays also into the accessibility sometimes in where you need to go. We look for the day when we can really think and not say we have to call a place to say, is it accessible or is it not? We look forward to that day where I can just get up, just go actually into that place and just be like anyone else. We want that in-person experience just like everyone else.
Yeah. So Travia, I want you to have that experience as well. So what is your department and what are you, yes, I'm going to put it on you, what are you specifically doing, to ensure that most of the business places, the government institution that they are making it accessible for you and others who or may have other disabilities that requires the same facilities that those who are in wheelchairs require?
Well, in a few weeks, we are about to conduct a few series of meetings that we'll be able to have, that one-on-one with some businesses that we'll be able to speak in ways in which they can tailor the services and make reasonable accommodations to persons with disabilities.
What about wheelchair accessibility parking? Most places that I go to, Travia, honestly, I only see one or two. And sometimes when I see the persons come back to their car, I wish I had powers to just take their car and rest it somewhere else, because you shouldn't be in that parking because it is for the person that needs it. How do you feel about just having two spaces and they're occupied by folks like us that can walk?
Yes, we have like one or two, as you said, and they're designated for us. But person think that, within a time limit, like I'm just gonna go on here for 2 minutes, but in that time span, I may come and want to use that space. So right now, in urban development and also with traffic, they have already reached out to them to review some of the policies that are documented, and hoping within those reviews that there will be some dialogue that we can address some of these issues.
Okay.
Interesting. And Trevia, you just made mention some of the issues you face when it comes on to mobility, like parking and stuff like that. But what are some of the other areas that you may find difficult on your day-to-day basis? What are the other challenges that you may face?
About the physical. Once the physical aspect of it isn't structured the way it isn't supposed to be, then that's all the struggles we will have. Once everything is in place when it comes to the physical part of it, basically ramps and proper ramps. What may look to you accessible may not look to us accessible. Some people may say they have a ramp, but when we get there, the ramp isn't designed designed the way it's supposed to be. Yes. And so we have challenges, accessing the ramp.
Do you work with any construction firms or architectural firms? Are you in, I should say, communication with them on the problems that you may have now getting up these ramps?
Like I said, we are about to embark on that to conduct, and we'll be reaching out to, a few.
Okay. All right.
So, Trevia, could you share with us some of the common misconceptions that persons may feel about wheelchair users?
The most one that we can speak for ourselves just because we're in a wheelchair, you always direct the question to the person that may be next to us, where we can speak to ourselves, and yes, it does happen quite often. Yes, it does. People use us as luggage that you can just place your bag on top of. That's
not nice.
And that's invading our space. Or we may be used as a purse, you may lean on us, bearing all your weight. We already have our weight to hold up, so we don't need that extra weight on us.
I cannot believe this is what people do. Take advantage of folks like this. This is ridiculous.
Just listening to Trevia, it's inspiring. Your story inspires a lot of persons. I'm sure have some form of disability, and just listening to you speak, give them that encouragement, I hope. And so we just want to encourage you, continue doing what you do, and of course, just continue to be that voice for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Trevia, what I want to ask is, does your wheelchair affect the way that you perform your daily duties at your job?
No, it doesn't. So as long as they have the reasonable accommodation to meet your needs, then it doesn't.
And that's something I want employers to realize, that wheelchair persons are capable and able of working once they provide, as Trevia said, the required facilities that they need to work. Wow.
So, Trevia, can you share with us, and for those who are watching, some words of encouragement for persons like yourself or persons who might just be living with a disability? Can you share with them some words of encouragement?
Okay, I just say, firstly, you have to start within yourself. Everything starts with inside, and then it would exhume on the outside. Don't take on persons thinking that you no longer belong in this world because you are part of the population of
Sure are.
the society, and you can contribute still. And take it one day at a time, and you will get there.
Awesome words of encouragement and advice. Yeah. But what about that individual who may have not born, were bright and chirpy with all their limbs working properly, but for whatever reason they probably met in an accident and now that their whole world changed suddenly? What would you say to that person who their world might just change in an instant just like that?
As I always use myself as an example, I took it one day at a time and try to figure out how I will navigate into this world. And don't always compare yourself to anyone else, because you're not going to be like anyone else but yourself. So just take it one day at a time.
So basically, you're saying accept the things that you cannot change.
Yes, absolutely.
Travian, in an upcoming segment, we are going to speak about taking things for granted. And I am putting this in the best light as I possibly can. When you had your mobility, did you ever think that you took it for granted?
Maybe some things that you wish that you would have done while you were walking versus now that you are sitting. Maybe at times. But, it already happens. So you just have to try to make the best of it.
And move on. What are some of the highlights? And I know you would have shared some of the challenges, but if you have any other ones that you would like to share, you can tell us about them.
Well, for instance, I'm now the program officer for persons with disability services.
Congrats.
And as I said earlier, Travia, you're such an inspiration for many persons out there, because so many persons would have given up, but you didn't. You're young, you're still vibrant, and you're still contributing to society. So I'm sure other persons living with a disability can use you as a testament to encourage not only themselves, but others they may know. And so we want to encourage you, and we want to tell you, continue doing what you're doing. Tinkis and Nevis really appreciate persons.
We sure appreciate. And Trevia, before we go, what's next on your list to do? Not only for yourself, but for others around you who may be experiencing the same thing as you.
Well, my challenge would be that advocate for them and lobbying for the issues that we have to be addressed. For too long, they have been left behind, and so we put them at the forefront.
I like that. I like the boss attitude. For those persons who are in the same position as Travia, you have a big voice and she's going to work for you.
Indeed.
Well, Travia,
any final words for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that are watching?
Yes.
My final words would be, I will challenge someone. If you know someone within your community who have disability, talk with them, go by them, visit them. You'll be surprised in what you learn in just having a conversation.
Yes, indeed. So,
interesting.
Don't put them to the side. They are still human beings. And Trevor, I hope that you said you're going to have the meeting soon. So I hope that becomes a grand success and we see more accessibility for you and those other persons who are living with disabilities or those other persons who are differently able. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Indeed. And we look forward to continue these talks and discussion with you in the near future.
Yes.
Anytime. Thank you.